All right. So yeah, we're just going to walk right through the what I believe is an extremely effective and a very smart, whether you want to take it or not, approach to growing and scaling any business with a high ticket offer with email and other social channels like we'll walk through. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll just walk through the different pieces. And these aren't hard and fast rules. This is just kind of like things that I've seen and kind of the phases that were probably a good idea to work through, although they can kind of be worked through in any way you want. I just think with this, the way we're going to show you, it's just a smarter approach. There's things that you can do. If you haven't seen my email revenue pyramid, I'll do a training on that soon again, and a little bit more structured and dialed in, kind of fix some stuff on it and made it easier to understand. But we want to do the right things at the right time. It just saves a lot of headache. All right, cool. Actually, there's another piece, which I wasn't going to talk on. So let me just do that. Okay, cool. So let's see. Hopefully I can share through here. Share. Oh, I can't share. Yeah, I can. All right, gotta share. Cool. So let me know if you can see my screen. I can zoom in too, because we're going to want to. We know you can, yeah, okay, we can see it. All right, cool. So yeah, so basically 4 phases, 4 stages. It would make sense to do that. And kind of here's the overall gist for the stages. We go through launch, build, multiply, reward. As you're working up, it'll make sense for what's obviously in each stage, what campaigns and what other things are going on. But that's kind of the overall theme for each of the stage, right? So I'll just dive in, and if you want to ask questions, you can drop them in the chat. So in each level, we'll go through the components and the target. So the components are basically like the things that are happening, the things in the system that make the engine, the response engine work, right? So there's going to be a kind of talk about the offer, the traffic system, the pre-selling assets, and the conversion experience. So basically the offer is just like the main thing that we're selling, right? If it's, fitness coaching, it's going to be like your core offer, your 12-week, 10-week, 16-week, 6-month, just core service product that you want to get people into. And there's a core promise, a core transformation that's happening during that. Aside from that, we have one core traffic system. So the traffic system is where the people are coming from. It's how people are getting into our world. The pre-selling assets are the things that we use in order to get people into the conversion experience. So pre-selling assets, it's a place where we're shifting beliefs, a place where we're putting out content that is giving people new insights. It's the place where we're able to put messages out into the world to move people around the bases. And that is how I explain pre-selling and marketing. If you haven't seen that, another training that I have done, I'm going to be redoing it here anyway. So, and the conversion experience is just how essentially we're getting the sale. Sales page, phone call, chat sales, whatever it is, that's the conversion experience. So the reason they're in categories like this is because they're not, I'm not a tool person, right? So what I mean by that is I'm not, you need to sell through the phone. You need to sell through a sales page. You need to sell through this specific funnel. My experience is there are tons of different ways of doing things. Instead, it's essential pieces that are needed in order to get the result that we want. So by looking at it as a pre-selling asset, there's different channels that we can use to do that. And I'll show you examples. Conversion experience, there's different channels, and I will give different examples for it. So we have the components and the targets are the results that we're looking at. So just for this, I'll look at the targets first. And essentially the targets are just to get the core marketing campaigns in place to increase revenue and predictability, and convert pre-sale leads and start a pre-selling engine. Happy founder to reinvest back into the business and fill the leaky bucket. So essentially this first launch phase is to get money, right? It's to turn attention into revenue, into profit, and that goes back into the business, or it just helps people from struggling, whatever it is. But the first stage is convert. The first stage is launch, is getting people into our system. It's not building this meta audience and then converting people, right? There's people, if you have just a small audience, there's going to be people within that are most likely pre-sold that can come into the system. First stage is to get the people into the system or our product. Right. So the core offer is just, we talked about, it's the main thing. It's the main thing you're selling. That'll stay pretty consistent, at least the first two stages. Core traffic system. At this stage, it's most likely a social profile. It can be your Twitter. It can be an Instagram. It can be a Facebook. It can be LinkedIn. Don't care. Tool agnostic. I don't care what tool it is. Core traffic system is going to most likely come from a social following. It could be an email list already. Now, how those people got on the email list, who knows? Could be a blog newsletter, right? You could have been blogging for a while. You could have built it that way. So you have one core traffic system. The email wouldn't be, the email wouldn't be the traffic system. The blog would be the traffic system. The email would be the pre-selling asset. So we have the traffic system. So like I said, social profiles, anything, it's where the people, the bigger group of people are. And the pre-selling asset is, it can also be that channel, but the pre-selling asset is usually more intimate. So it's usually a stage deeper. It's the email list, it's the Facebook group, it's a LinkedIn group. It's a more private, intimate experience. It's a circle community, it's a Slack community, it's a Discord, whatever it is. It's just more intimate. But there's a top of funnel place, a bigger audience that is coming down into a more middle funnel asset, which is going to be the pre-selling asset. So if we look at a funnel, I should probably have, if we look at like top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, we have top of funnel is going to be these social or main traffic sources. The middle funnel is going to be, like we said, just the more intimate, intimate spots, Facebook group, email, Slack, Discord, circle community, whatever. And then bottom funnel is, those also could be bottom funnel, but bottom funnel is going to be like in our experience. I can't spell. All right. So just to get an idea, and that would, we're looking at like as an actual funnel, it's more people than are coming down into it, right? Let's get that out of there. So within our pre-selling assets, 1 to 2 of them, right? Like I said, it can be email and organic. It can just be one or the other. If you have both, great. But what I like is at least there to be an email list. And typically, if there's not one already, or most people are kind of, oh, I should be building an email list, whether they know why or not, or they know how to use it or not, they've heard it. Whether they're building it and utilizing it is a totally different story, but they probably know they should be doing it. So within that email list, there's a few core campaigns that we want to have in place. And these are what I think are the most important, especially for this main stage, which is launch, get revenue, right? Like that's the main function here. So within that, we have the core campaigns, which is engagement segmentation, which is pretty important, not super extremely important at this level. It's not the thing that is going to drive revenue, but it is still important in terms of if we're looking at, put this down here, if we're looking at like a really big previous email list, like then yes, it's going to be important, right? Because we don't want to just blast out to a big old, we don't want to blast that out. So engagement segmentation is important. This probably actually would go, I would even say it's actually probably better in build. Oops. So, no, that's right, because we have re-engagement in there. See, I know what I'm talking about. So it's still, it's not the revenue generating thing, which, like I said, is the main focus for this piece, but it's still important in terms of like long-term growth and strategy. And that's kind of where we still want to think about things, not in the backwards way of like the biggest long-term strategy growth and vision is like branding and all that type of stuff. It's, we still got to have a sustainable business, or at least a business in place first to get to that point. So you see, we'll bring that stuff in later, which is where I think it's the most important. Be Helpful campaign. So essentially, Be Helpful campaign, it's just a way of providing, they're more intimate campaigns where there's some sort of direct outreach usually, or a value asset that is given to someone who is targeted, ideally a good fit for the program, and you know that initially. And it's more like, say I'm a coach and I got 100 people on my list, and I know there's like 3 people in there who would be awesome fits for our program. Without a doubt, I know if they're in there, I can get them amazing results, and also they have interest. I'm going to run a campaign to these people. Be Helpful campaign is a specific way of doing it that I can first offer value and then get them into a conversation, which we would then take the conversation to the next stage, which is going to be our conversion experience. So Be Helpful campaigns are super, the smaller and more intimate the list, or the asset, the audience, the more helpful they are, because we're able to be very specific and intentional about the words, messages we're using to the person to ideally let them know or show them or demonstrate that we can help them and eventually work with them. So that's Be Helpful campaign. Basic broadcast strategy is just like, the most simplest way is just like, we're sending emails somewhat frequently and consistently. I don't even care what the frequency is at this point. It's consistency is actually the main thing. I even put that here. Consistency is priority, right? So that is the most important thing at this stage. And then we talked about engagement segmentation. And then also during the pre-selling thing, we're going to have an organic channel, most likely at some point, like almost everyone does, like somewhere, someplace, something. You probably have at least one channel somewhere, something. But if you're like growing a business and you're wanting to grow your business, you want to launch new offers, don't make these channels private, right? And most people won't be in that mindset, but if you want to keep a channel private, that could be, there's certain channels you might want to keep private, but you should still have a chosen pre-selling channel that you want to focus on. And the reason they can't be private is because we're not able to bring new people into our world to pre-sell in the first place. So just say you're stuck with 100 people in your world. If you can't get more than 100 people in your world, then you only ever have 100 people to try and pre-sell. There's going to be, for reasons out of your control, you will never convert all 100 people. For reasons out of your control, things you can never do. However, if we increase the number of people into our world, so that number, that 100 becomes 200, 300, 400, 500, the opportunity for our messages to hit the right people and to get them into our offer are significantly increased. So there's both sides launch. We're taking the existing people in the world, or maybe like growing small, and we're just turning those eyeballs into clients, helping those clients, multiplying that. But we got to get this thing going first. And those core campaigns are pretty easy. Nothing fancy with your broadcast strategy, just something, just free consistency. As we move up intensity and what we do into theirs, it changes. But this is the very core level of it. I'm going to go through the other ones a little bit faster. And conversion experience is just how people are going to buy at this stage. At this stage, it's probably pretty simple. You might not even have a call booking funnel. It might just be like chat and you send them a link and they book a call. Might even have a link to book calls. You might just be verbally doing it. It doesn't matter at this stage. It's just converting people, talking to the right people, and yes or no's, right? Cool. Targets, great. Level 2. So after we move through level 2, we're going to go through build. So the components in build, we have, we still have a core offer and promise. So it'll still be one at this stage. Main thing's still the main thing. At this stage, we're might have a little bit more focused strategy in here, or we might have added ads in here. It could be 2 social profiles, right? You could have taken audience from one and brought it to another. So like Twitter audience to Instagram to Facebook, whatever it is, you might have a core one that you're building for a while and you bring it to another. It's not multiplying it. We do that in the next stage, but there's usually 2 different ways, 2 different traffic systems going on. Ideally, it's probably ads at some point, but it doesn't have to be at this stage. Actually, at most stages, you don't have to be. It just kind of makes life easier. More frustrating sometimes, but easier to grow and predict things. 1 to 2 pre-selling assets. So same thing, email list, and you're probably your organic channel. Like I said, you might have another one. With email list, we're going a little bit deeper here. So we have some growth campaigns. We're doing a custom welcome series. I do these in 2 phases. The reason they're in 2 phases is there's an engagement component, and then there's like the main welcome, which is kind of the sales and pre-selling series, right? So the engagement focus, part of the sequence, just the beginning, it keeps it a little healthy in the long term, because we're not going to it's not going to keep sending the sequence to people who are like fake emails, bounce emails, people who don't open at all. It's to protect long-term strategy and health of our email list. It's keeping the next stage or 2 stages in mind, especially if we're going to throw fuel on the fire and grow with ads, and we have a decent amount of people coming through. Having 2 phases in here, it works pretty dang well. So probably something to consider. The way we do the custom welcome series, it's like, I mean, I'm sure people are doing something similar, but it's not like nurture, nurture, nurture and go. It's not sell, 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 sell and go. It's a mix of both. If you've seen my pre-selling diamond, if you haven't seen it yet, once I redo the training or I just do the visual and mini training on it, I will put it around here somewhere so you can see it. But essentially, if you look at a baseball diamond, it's like there's people moving around the diamond at any point in time. Pre-sold people are people on third base. If you think baseball, they're really close to home. If you're looking at it's probably on this side, third base, but they're really close there. If we nurture, 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 jab, 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 whatever language you want to use, we don't have the opportunity to get the people on third base, right? They're just not going to wait. Like, yes, maybe occasionally people will reach out and just ask to buy, even if there's no offer. But typically the amount of money we make is based on the amount of offers we make. The caveat to that is if there's no other pre-selling, belief shifting, insight-driven content aside from that, we're going to run out of people on third base. You can only make so many offers before it just kind of like runs out. Unless you have a really good offer, you're driving traffic to that offer, And that's dialed in that way because your sales and fulfillment, like all that stuff dialed in. But most people aren't at that stage, or essentially there's going to be a social component to it. I think it's still important to have the social component where there is the pre-selling in there anyway, because again, it just makes life easier. So with the custom welcome series, there's both. We're able to first capture the people that are on third base and maybe even second base and move them there. But then we go through specific intentional pre-selling leads. I have like a pretty structured campaign that I've probably written and plugged into at least 10 to 12 different businesses in the last year that worked really, really fucking well. And it's just essentially the same model. And it's based on them having a group. So they have their pre-selling asset, they have their email list, and we leverage both of them together in a way where emails make the group more effective, group makes the emails more effective. Enough on that. We'll do probably, I'll do a training on part of that. I don't know how deep I'll go into it, but I can definitely talk about how some of that works a little bit more. We have a call booking, browse abandonment. So this is essentially, this can be in like build or multiply. Again, it's kind of like what's going on. If there's high volume traffic, it's I think more important to have it in here. If not, it's still good. It doesn't take a lot, but it's essentially someone checks out the booking page, they don't book, they're going to get a follow-up email that essentially is it's very similar to like a cart abandonment email, except it's a browse abandonment for a call booking. So we just give them another opportunity. We ask questions, whatever it is. There's just different ways of doing it, but they're good to have in there. You can get, I've seen anywhere from like 5 to like on some lists, like 25% of like response from it. Focused broadcast strategy. So this is a little bit more intentional about what we're doing. If you look at the email revenue pyramid, which again, I'll put that training around here somewhere as well once it's redone. But we're slowly working up the stages here. So at the bottom, we have like deliverability, and then because that's the base, and then we have the like frequency of send, and then the content, and then structure, and then we move up. But this is essentially with a focused broadcast strategy, we're moving up in the sense of we're going to more frequency, and then we're going to be a little bit more intentional about what we're doing. If we have this other pre-selling content, like a pre-selling asset, like we have a group, we're going to be leveraging the two. But we really focus on leveraging the two and multiply. Because like if someone already has it, cool, we'll do it. If not, probably not going to build that asset out because it obviously takes time, energy, money, resources to do it. So we would probably wait to do it until multiply, but it could also be done. If they have it, we're going to use it. And then call booking follow-up. This is just when people book calls, what happens? There's like things that should happen. Re-engagement. Again, if the list was built, like getting people back into the world, not depending on how long the list has lived, might be important now, might not be, doesn't really matter yet. That could go, it could go 1, it could go 2, it could go through, whatever. Organic channel. So this is a little bit more dialed in with the profile funnel. I think I've mentioned the profile funnel, right? In one, I should have, but if not, for some reason, I'm like blacking out. Essentially the profile funnel is just like the setup of what's going on your profile, like what people see, like new people who are seeing it for the first time. Because if you're broader content, like content expansion, like the messages you put out to grab more people into your world, we want your profile optimized in a way where when people do get into the world, they're doing something that is either going to take them a step further down into the funnel by getting them into your group or by getting them to your email list, right? So that would take top of funnel to middle of funnel or even bottom funnel. So we're looking for ways of making sure that our storefront, the way our business essentially or our brand looks, is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then one conversion experience. So again, it's probably the same sort of thing, but it's probably at this point a little bit more structured and organized. So if it was just generic, getting people on the phone and going through that, I've seen businesses do really well, probably 30, 40, 50K months by just DMing people, getting people on the phone and doing that thing. But at this point, there's probably going to be a little bit more structured in terms of maybe there's a call booking page, maybe they're running traffic to a mini VSL, all that type of stuff. And then there's follow-up to that. So if there is a specific campaign like a mini VSL and you're running traffic to it, not in here, but that's going to be something that would be implemented pretty early on, right? Then for the targets here, we're just getting a more structured, like pre-selling and monetization campaigns in place, more consistency, more predictability. It's basically just building on the launch, and we're filling the leaky bucket. That way, when we throw fuel on the fire and multiplication, it's not wasted money or energy or time. So components for Multiply, we have at this point probably another offer, maybe 2 more offers. So it could be 2 or 3. And essentially, we still have the main thing, but there's probably an up and a down sell. Just another opportunity for people who maybe not have been good fits, or a smaller, lower end opportunity to maybe upgrade and send people into the other one. The ideal for the smaller experiences, lower ticket stuff, is to get people a win or to pre-sell people on the idea that the next stage is the thing that they need. And essentially, it's not like they're not solving problems with it. It's you're solving a problem, but by solving problem, there's always a bigger problem or a next problem. And by nature, your next offer would solve that next problem for them. Because by solving problems, another problem will be created. Always. Cool. 3 core traffic system. So social profiles and ads, we probably have added a social channel at this point. The reason we usually add it at this point is because if we've built and we have core traffic systems here, we probably have valuable content and angles that we know work well, and we're able to pretty easily, with very little mental bandwidth in terms of creation from scratch, we're able to then grow an audience quickly because we know it works on another channel. And at that point, it's probably channel specific things, right? It's learning like hacks on Facebook and how the algorithm work and what people respond to. It's learning that similar stuff on Twitter. It's how that works. It's their tools. It's all those types of stuff. But essentially, when we have the content, especially those top of funnel channels, it's easy to tweak things to be platform appropriate and specific, and still get someone from top of funnel to middle funnel. To pre-selling assets. So at this stage, we're just adding more. Some of these campaigns, like there's like 4 or 5. Some of these are short and easy, like well, we'll get to that. So cross-sell is just essentially, we have different offers, right? At this stage, we have 2, maybe even 3. We can get people into other offers if it makes sense for them. We have next challenge. So it's what I just mentioned. There's okay, you help someone do this thing. There's another challenge that they're going to experience. You're going to help them with that, whether it's a continuation of what they're already doing, just ongoing, whether it's you built something or help them do something, and then that created another thing. Like that's what the next challenge campaign would be. Really simple. That's like 1 message and then a conversation, 2 messages. Silver bullet. This is essentially, we talked about the Be Helpful campaign. This gets more people. This helps categorize and us know who would be important to send Be Helpful campaigns to. So the silver bullet gets more people into the world of being able to get Be Helpful campaigns. And then we have advanced broadcasts with fun stuff. So this is a little, we're again, email revenue pyramid. We're moving up on the pyramid and we're adding more things, or just being a lot more intentional and maybe a bit more, I won't say complicated. It's just more thought and energy into having our ongoing broadcast be more structured in a way, and like making sure we're using the different channels in a really like a smart way, right? So they amplify each other. They don't run like side by side in two different directions. They're going like and making magic together. Flash offers, flash sales, flash deals, flash, like basically these are like small timed opportunities. So I might not, don't think of flash sales or flash offers as discounts. They're small opportunities that people can take advantage of. See this. If you guys have questions, just let me know. I think we're good on any of the stuff, really. Organic channel. Again, at this stage, we're putting more. I said we could have added an organic channel to this. Like talked about multiplying one, bringing one from one platform to another, or on a platform going to a deeper level, like Facebook profile to group. But with the organic channel, we're starting to put out more wider nets to bring people in. We're bringing in more branding stuff, more personal stuff, more bonding stuff, core values, unique things that really help stand out from the competition. But it's helpful. The reason I like to add these later is because it's a longer term play, and it's easier to make the longer term play when money's coming in, right? So there's some people who start by trying to build a brand without the monetization side of it, and it takes a really, really long time, and most people quit before that. And I don't see a reason to do it that way when we can be really specific and intentional about people we want to help first, and then we can expand and grow out later, right? So we can go from like really, 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 really niche down at the beginning, because it's easy to be very specific about problems, like detailed scenarios that people are dealing with. Really talk to them in that way if we know who we're talking to, like face to face. I'm talking to this person, cool, I can do this. And then those are the messages that work the best in terms of sales. When we take a step back and we start widening that, so instead of going from like, just say, mom, this age, does this scenario, has this metabolic issue going on, like kids, all this type of stuff. Like when we step back to just like, mom, broader, problems change a little bit, not as specific, not as targeted, might be a little bit harder with sales, but we're still able to talk about different problems. Step back, right? Like we can keep stepping back. It doesn't, and then it can go from like moms to just men and women. Right. So that's like a really granular chunk down version, like expanding out into a bigger picture. I think as we move up the stages and as revenue grows and audience grows, we're able to widen the net of the people we bring in and still work with, and either work with different people or work with the same people, but they're just easier to get into our world, if that makes sense. We also have more at this stage, like lots of assets going on, like pre-selling assets. We have these channels, we have social proof, we have results, we have all this stuff that's easier to get people to make a decision than, at this launch stage when we don't have a lot going on. 2 conversion experiences. So this is essentially just another addition here. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but like said, just different conversion experience. It could be selling through live chat. It could be a structured call booking, like mini VSL call booking funnel. It could be a sales page. It could be Google Doc sales page. It could be anything, anything. But it's just how people buy, right? The targets here, we're duplicating audience and assets, we're expanding reach and revenue, and we're developing a rhythm and cadence of sticky concepts, campaigns, and angles. Right, so I mentioned that, like finding things that really work, we're able to do them more, do them more often, we're able to put those in other places. And at that point, when we put them in other places, they're going to more eyeballs, more opportunity. Level 4 is reward. With reward, we have, it's a bigger vision. Like at this point, probably making a decent amount of money. I don't like, it's hard to put revenue numbers here because like I said, I know at like people kind of the components of the build stage doing like 50, 100K. So, but at this pay at this, at the reward stage, like this is essentially like there's just more things going on in the ecosystem. Like revenues coming in pretty consistently. You're probably at 100K plus 100 to 300K a month, maybe even more. Like I said, some of the stuff here could be done at other stages, but this is essentially like probably the more ideal time to do it. So there's multiple offers there. We have 3 core traffic systems. So we still have the other ones. Then we added one. We're probably adding a social channel or a paid channel, another one that was working well. Might not, right? We could have been on the same traffic sources that we had before. We have more than 2 pre-selling assets at this time, right? So our email list, our organic is still going. And typically at this stage with organic, we're probably going into a little bit more casting a wider net and less direct conversion in there, because we don't need to do it. We can do that on our in our deeper channels, like in the group and our email, but we're essentially talking more about like vision, mission, unique things to us, to the guru, like specific stories that aren't directly tied to offers. It's just like connection, bonding, brand awareness. People come in there, then there's profile setup, like profile funnel set up, and people are getting them working into the funnel. So with email lists, we're pretty much like we're optimizing campaigns that are in here. We're duplicating some stuff that's coming from different channels. We're adding some more specialty campaigns. So we have like, there's all sorts of campaigns you can do, like price increase stuff, win back VIP. Like you can do any of these at different stages, but like I said, I put these because it's typically the impact that it would make to bottom line, or the effectiveness of it probably isn't as worth it as doing some of the other stuff until like now. Talked about branding focus, talking about the organic channel already. Talked about the 2 or 3 conversion experiences, but then we also have a unique thing here, which is removal. And removal is putting people in place. So training, hiring, managing, copywriters, copywriting team, email team, whatever. So we're optimizing, duplicating, expanding, hiring, training, and putting people in place. I didn't put it in here. Maybe I did. I just didn't skip it anywhere. But usually around either multiplier reward phase. We even start earlier, but like as we move up the phases, it's more important to put a kind of content machine in place. So it's not like all of these things are being created like one-off, like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and write this thing. I'm gonna sit down and write this thing. Like if you're intentional about it, you can make sure go to like here. You're like organic, if it's an organic traffic system, your organic traffic system, one of those might be the place you first create the content, and then you're breaking out chunks of content and then tweaking to medium and level appropriate to be used. So an example, you have a podcast. Your podcast is your main method. Like you do a podcast every week, or you do a YouTube video week, or you do a blog every week, you do a video training in your group every week, whatever. that's like the core piece of that of the content. Then from that content, you're pulled out. You're able to pull out the content that's going on social, and intentionally the content that's starting to come through email, and when where you're sending emails to, when you're sending it to the group. Like, are you sending it to training? So you're sending it to like to hype the training up, or you're sending it post training? Are you sending like in tandem with that? How are you doing? Like, what other value posts are you sending? How many like direct offers are you doing per week? So there's like, it's the reason I call them like conversion engines or response engines is there's an ecosystem. Like, the bigger you grow, the more these businesses are growing, it's important to be intentional about it. Otherwise, like, it's the times where people, well, I don't have time to create more content. It's just creating more content is going to take more time. So there's ways of being intentional about it. We're moving up these stages. It doesn't require it. Yeah, sometimes it's going to be more work and more assets, whether you're going to build them or a copywriter is going to build them or whatever, or write them. But it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm adding a channel. This channel is going to take X amount of more work. It's just knowing probably what the purpose of the channel is, where it fits into the overall ecosystem for you. And if you already have other channels going on, you're able to use assets you already have onto that channel, or you already created onto that channel, to just expand your reach even more, right? So that's where kind of like you're multiplying reach, you're multiplying eyeballs instead of just adding eyeballs to one channel, if that makes sense. So yeah, reward stage, you're probably like, people sometimes they're removing, most of the time they're probably removing if they're like really building a business and not essentially just building kind of a passion. But again, some of these things will go into different places. So those are essentially the main levels and the main stages and the main campaigns that go into it. This sort of thing is what I am starting to build. So what's the word? Loosely build and did the stuff clients for the last few years. I started writing copy, I think it was, I don't know, 6-7 years ago maybe. Went through different phases of doing different things. I started doing work with like more high ticket businesses, specifically email, or like leveraging other channels. And I started to get a bit more intentional in creating what I call the ecosystems around it, right? So it's like all these things make sense going into each other. And you generate what I call, like I said, extraordinary response. It's not just side-by-side things running and they just don't work. They multiply, they amplify the effects of doing it. So this is the sort of thing. So I'm starting to teach all this stuff for people to do themselves. And also it's a way for me to build out some of the systems that I haven't built out, that I was just doing intentionally, but recreating every time. So yeah, just starting to go through some of these trainings, showing some other people how to do it. You can try to take what I'm doing and do it yourself, or if you want to build them out together, we can do that. And be working with people and helping them do that. And ideally, like at this page, like I said, some of the stuff changes, it's at different levels. So part of the process of doing is like looking at all the assets and looking at everything going on and say, like, okay, like, yeah, you might technically kind of be in this like build stage, but you don't have these core campaigns that we need, or you have all these social assets. Yeah, we're not going to mess around with those. Like, we're going hard here, we're going hard here. And that's going to be the core focus of it. Or it's like you have all this stuff dialed in at launch and like, well, we need to use like some of this other stuff first. So you might already have, might be on launch and already have a group. And cool. Then like at that stage, then like it might even be on launch, have a group and already running traffic. We need this in here because this thing is really important, especially in running traffic. So all this stuff's custom, or not all custom. There's, flexible general rules to it. It's just, the whole knowing where to tap. So like I said, I'm gonna start sharing this stuff. I'll do another training next week. I'm gonna keep them ideally way shorter, do like 10, 15 minutes. If you have any questions on this, drop them, let me know. If you want to talk about doing this for your business or you being able to do this for clients, we can do that as well. Just reach out and we'll jam. Any questions for the people who are live? If not, that's also totally cool. Nope. All right, cool. Yeah, drop a comment if you're watching the replay, let me know, and we'll talk soon. Have a great day, guys.